So welcome and thank you for joining us here monthly for the new moon. And of course, we also do it for the full moon as well. So if you'd like to be a part of our group, and we post, not a lot, but some cool things about the moon and everything, you just go to www.joinmoongatherings.com and you'll be able to get into our Facebook group, Ask to Join, and of course we will accept you. So our next new moon gathering is going to be in a month, which is going to be Wednesday, October 2nd. Same time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and of course, adjust it accordingly for wherever you are in the world. So that's the first Wednesday. If you register for the new moon, you'll always get notified of it. So this is, I always say, take a picture. This is the link right here. We also repost this like in our Facebook group as well. Our full moon gathering will be in 2 weeks, which will be Wednesday, September 18th. And that is 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is the third Wednesday of the month. And this is the link to register for it as well. Again, we are Ralph MacIntyre and Brenda Bailey, and Ralph is an evolutionary astrologer and astrocartographer, and this is his website, astro.map.links.com. He always offers a great deal for our group here that's 50% off his complete world map, which is this really cool astrocartography map that's 3D, and 50% off is just $25. So that is the link for it. Take a picture. It's fascinating. I would tell you to take a look-see. If you'd like to know more about me, I do have a directory listing on DowCloud, and that is the link for it, which is a holistic directory. And if you want to know more about YouTube, about Theta Healing, I do have a YouTube, not a YouTube, but if you want to know more about Theta Healing, go to this YouTube, and I give you the lowdown on it. And then also, if you want to know more about what I do with Theta Healing, here's the link to that. If you like the belief work and you like the downloads, I also have a Facebook group, which you can access through www.joinblastyourbeliefs.com. So once again, if you'd like to be in our Moon Gatherings Facebook group, this is the link for that. And now we're going to get to the good stuff. So thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, so we lost Ralph. He was saying, there he is.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back. I was just getting ready to say, and we're going to get to the good stuff now. We're going to get to Ralph, and then he like disappeared. So.
Yeah, the answer to your question, if I have anything to say to you, I have a lot to say to you, but my internet's not going to let me. No, so I'm on my backup internet, and so hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll work. So it's up to me now, huh? You all, I didn't hear. Okay, great. So, well, as Brenda was talking about, it seems like there's a lot going on. And part of what's happening is that when a major transit kind of wraps up or gets to the end, it's like, you know, you take a class and the whole class you're learning all this stuff. And at the end of the class, there's a final exam or there's a test. And there's a similar phenomena in transits in the sense that the transits are here to bring you some information. And then towards the end of the transit, it's kind of like shaking you. Did you get it? Did you get it? And so for those that are feeling like they're being shaken, it's because they're wanting you to get something. And what the world, the universe is wanting you to get something. And right now in the sky, or at least a couple days ago when we had the full moon on new moon on August 30th, there was quite a party in Virgo. And Virgo kind of, if you were going to take Virgo and put it into one word, it's discrimination, discernment. I guess discernment is a better word than discrimination, but it's about knowing what's right and knowing when's right, knowing what is actually useful. Virgo's ruled by Mercury. Mercury is, you know, the ruler of Gemini. It's fast, it's communication, it's thoughts, it's the way we think. Virgo's kind of an earthy sign, though, so it's kind of slowing that Mercury energy down. You know, Gemini is kind of like bringing the world on, and the Virgo's all like, don't bring the whole world on, bring only what I need on, bring only what I can use on, only what I can assimilate on. One of the things I like to talk about when I talk about Virgo, because Virgo is a very beautiful, powerful sign, but it also gets kind of a bad rap. And part of the issue with Virgo is that Virgo inherently knows what's right. This is a beautiful kind of the superpower of Virgo, but it's also the Achilles heel. It's kind of why it gets the bad reputation. And the reason why is that no one really wants to know what's right. Matter of fact, most people want to stay away from what's right as far as possible. And so in my classic Gemini way, I was thinking about this a little bit, and I wanted to kind of do a play on words around Virgo, and that is, when is what is right wrong? And so I have a little story. So imagine you're hanging out with a good friend of yours, and at this time we're gonna put this friend in the female form. It could be male, female. And this particular evening, you're on the phone with her, and she's doing something that she's done very often, about freaking out about how she only seems to attract alcoholic men. And you're listening to her cry and just like go on and on about this new guy she just met and how he's an alcoholic. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, honey, you only look for men at bars. Of course you only meet drunks. But it's kind of like if you were to blurt that out when she's like having an emotional breakdown, she's not going to hear it. Matter of fact, she's going to get all pissed off at you. And this is kind of where what's right is wrong. And this is the other part of Virgo's superpower. And this is the part where when your ego gets playing with Virgo, in the sense that your ego's like, oh, I know what's right. Let me tell you what's right. And then it gets into trouble, because if you just know what's right and tell people what's right without stepping back and like, I wonder if they're going to be ready to hear this. And it's like, if the answer to that question is no, then no matter what you know that's right is wasting your energy. And so part of what's happening here with this massive transit in Virgo, Sun, Moon, Mercury, let me just look really quick. Yeah, Mercury, Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus are all sitting in Virgo as of August 30th. I know the moon's moved on. I think everything else is going to be in Virgo for most of the month. So this particular transit, and these are all our personal planets. You know, Mercury is how you think. The moon's how you express emotions. The sun is your main energy. Mars is your assertive nature. And Venus is what calms you, what soothes you, what you're attracted to, are all sitting in this very powerful sign of Virgo. And at the same time, I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit, but I think it'll make sense. So I've been talking about cycles within cycles a bunch this time, and I've been talking about this overarching cycle, to me, that it's the main cycle that we're all in, of Neptune and Pisces, and the world bringing in a new way of looking at religion, so to speak. So all this Virgo energy is kind of opposite this Neptune and Pisces. And interestingly enough, Pisces is kind of a free-for-all in the sense that it's everything that's possible. You know, it's like if you want to have a nervous breakdown, you know, have a conversation with God, see what's possible. You know, a lot of times why this Piscean world is blocked off to most of us, and the layers in which it's blocked off, is because we can't handle it. You know, if we see all of Neptune's possibility, we end up in the corner drooling because our mind's blown and everything that we hold is true. All the things that we, you know, keep us solid and grounded are dissolved with the possibilities. And so that's kind of where Virgo is our friend. And so if you look at your chart, so like for me, I have Virgo in the 12th house and Pisces in the 6th house. And so this is very pertinent to me because being a Gemini, being a very sensitive, connected person, I can often get overwhelmed with energy. And the Virgo is kind of like, okay, boundaries. What's good for me? What can I assimilate in the moment? What will actually be productive? And so part of what's going on here is that we're all being exposed to this powerful transit that I talked about for the summer of Pluto South Node and Saturn retrograde in Capricorn. And as we speak, Saturn is sitting really close to the South Node, like almost exact conjunct. Very, very tight aspect. And Saturn is how we structure, how we have physical boundaries, how we relate to the physical world. And the South Node of the moon is kind of where things went wrong. Generally, when we look from the perspective of the South Node of the moon, we look for mistakes. And it's not like you made a mistake or things went wrong. It's just that the South Node represents the things that gave us a challenge, that you know, traumas or whatever. And so part of what we're all looking at right now collectively, and this is kind of going back to Brenda's statement about what's going on, is that collectively we're all being asked to look at where are we not using Saturn's energy correctly? How have we habitually not used Saturn's energy correctly? How has the collective not used Saturn's energy collective? You know, I think I started with this, you know, are you a physical being having a spiritual experience? Or are you a spiritual being having a physical experience? Are you using that Saturn building structure to further your spiritual connection? Or are you using your Saturn building structure to hide from your spiritual connection? You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard the statement, oh, I would have loved to meditate, but I had too many things to do. Oh, I had to go to work. I had to, you know, take the dog for a walk, take the trash out, you know. And so that interaction between the spiritual world and what, you know, whether you are really, you know, wanting to be, you know, connected in that spiritual world requires interactive in the physical world. So, and it's not just so simple as like, oh, you can just sit and meditate all day long and everything's good. You know, it's like if you sit and meditate and you miss your work and whatnot, next thing you know, your landlord's calling you up because your rent's late, but called you up and your phone's turned off because you're meditating and you didn't pay your bills. And so there's a way in which this is where Virgo comes in. Because Virgo's like, okay, honey, I got this. I know the balance. I know the right. I know the wrong. You know, how much meditating is good, how much paying attention to the pills is good, all of this. And so taking this and looking at the fact that the north node of the moon is in Cancer, ruled by that Virgo moon, interacting with all that Virgo energy. And the south node of the moon is conjunct Saturn and Capricorn. So there's this way in which we're asked to look at what's working and what's not working, and have the honest conversation. Virgo is the truth seeker. The truth is available to you right now. It's like, and the truth is not always the most friendly, the most comfortable voice to listen to, but it's generally the best long term. Whether you choose to listen to the truth and ignore it, it's always generally better to at least have the truth. And so what the truth is an individual thing. That's all these are personal planets. This is, how you communicate. I had an interesting interaction today that was kind of part of this dance. I don't know, most of you probably know this, may not know this, but I live out in the middle of the desert. It gets extremely warm here. We don't call it hot until it's over 115. This time of year, I call it the 6 months of sweat lodge. And so I have a good friend of mine who owns the only AC company in town. And when he gets swamped, I help him out because he's a friend of mine. And so to make this a shorter story, we had a client today who was screaming at us because we were overwhelmed. We're like, it's like managing heat stroke. We're all wiped out, and we're doing the best we can. And we blow appointments off. It's like, I'm sorry, we can't make you to there today. But what I'm really trying to talk about is, it's like, she was right. We blew her off. We made a mistake. Sorry. But she also is no longer have the ability to call the AC company because she pissed us off. And, and so this is Virgo. This is that. When is what's right wrong? Yes, she was right. We blew off her appointment. But was being right helpful? Is she going to get what she wants? And this is kind of what we're talking about. This is kind of what this Saturn and Capricorn in the South node, the Virgo, the Pisces, all this energy is really wanting to help us look at where we cut our own foot off in the name of being right, or where we hold ourselves back. It's like Virgo's also kind of that voice. It's like, hey, if you write in your book every day, your book will be done and you'll publish it. That's a Virgo. That's also a Saturn kind of thing. It's like, so it's like holding ourselves back by not listening to the voices, being stuck in what's right and what's wrong. All of this is what these transits are trying to talk about. So a couple other things that are going on that I wanted to kind of talk about to bring this even more clearly home to roost. So I've been talking about this transit, the Saturn, Pluto, South Node, North Node interaction, and the retrograde, which is, for me, retrograde is about bringing it internal, looking inside. So it's like Saturn is boundaries, physical structure, so you could look outside or you can look inside. When the planet's retrograde, there's kind of a very clearly looking inside, how we interact, And so, as I stated in the beginning of this transit, that this was going on for the summer. And Actually, I'm doing something very Virgonian, which I very, very rarely do, but I actually have an exact date for us. Um, oh, you know what? God, that was a bad faux pas. I have an exact date for something else. I don't have the exact date for Saturn going direct. It's pretty easy to find it on Google. I know it's happening before the next new moon gathering. So within 30 days of right now, Saturn goes direct. I will probably look it up and post it on Facebook just to be concise. Um, what what happens when planets retrograde is it's giving you an opportunity to experience the interaction more than once. So generally you have it crossing a point in your chart. When it goes forward, when it goes retrograde, it recrosses the point in the chart. And then when it goes direct again, and then it recrosses the point in the chart. And what I find, especially when they're the big heavy hitters like Saturn or Pluto, the outer planets, that when you have these retrograde transits, the first time it goes across, when it goes first, it's like something completely new, foreign, and kind of beyond where you are. And it generally kind of is like a shocker. It's like, oh my God, my Pluto just touched my moon. I'm wiped out. And then it goes away and it gives you an opportunity to sit in that. And then depending on your mileage, whether you actually take the opportunity or not, and for the most part, all of us take the opportunity. And it's not like you cannot do a transit. Pretty much everyone aces their transits. It's, you know, it's not that difficult, and it's also very difficult. Anyways, I'm digressing here. So when the planet hits it for the first time, it's kind of like, oh, wow, you know, it's a shocker. Then when it gives you a time to integrate it, then when it hits the retrograde, it's like not quite as much of a shocker as the first time. And then the third hit, when it goes direct, it's like, oh, now I understand. You know, it's kind of like the teacher said it the first time, and it's like, I don't understand. Let me think about it. Says it the second time. Oh, maybe I'm starting to understand. And then by the third time, the planet, it hits the planet. It's generally a much easier to understand. So going back to what Brenda said, as far as what's going on, it seems like something must be going on. Well, in between when the planet hits the part in your chart, direct, and then goes away and comes back, there's a lot of work being done, otherwise known as, oh my God, what's going on in the sky right now? I can't seem to get anything done, or whatever the story is. And so that's the integration. That's the kind of like, oh, okay, so what's really happening? So, you know, you're being asked right now, where are the structures of your life not serving you? You know, and so when you make a statement, oh my God, what's going on? Which we all have. I'm not pointing at anyone. I do it all the time. I'm an astrologer, and I'm like, oh God, I better look at my transit. Something's happening. You know, I can't stop crying, or, you know, I'm like racing around or whatever. It's asking you to look at it and integrate it and get the class. And right now, one of the big classes for the summer is, where do our dealings with the physical world, the boundaries, the structures, where are they serving us? Where are they not serving us? You know, and then enter in Virgo, because Virgo is very much friendly with Capricorn energy. they have a similar kind of goal in the sense of doing things when they're supposed to be done kind of energy. And so they get along well. So with that, we have to look at the negative as well as the positive, because we know this Capricorn transit is connected to the south node of the moon. So we know we're all dealing with where it didn't go well, where we've made a mistake personally and also collectively. I mean, you'll notice, in the last 6 months, in the next year, our structures of our society are starting to get shaken. Like, hey, is this really what we want? Does this really work for us? All this kind of getting upset and blasting people, or, social media and Facebook. I don't know about you, but I've noticed myself needing to kind of like turn it off, because the information is more than I can handle, more than I can bring in, and it's not calming me down. It's upsetting me. It's getting me all worked up. It's keeping me from my center. And that's kind of a Virgonian thing, and that's kind of the dance of Virgo too. It's like, am I have my head in the mud, ignoring everything, or am I not paying attention because it's not something that I can change and it's not beneficial to me? And there's a dance, it's not a clear cut, oh, my head's in the mud or I'm not paying attention. There's a slight dance. So let me look at my notes really quick. So all this Virgo energy is really trying to help us ground this Piscean energy that's available to us with the pure Neptune Piscean. Anytime a planet in the sky, it's in its own sign. It's super strong. It's super clear. It's focused. It's like there's no chatter. There's no distraction. Pisces and Virgo, or excuse me, Pisces and Neptune, they're speaking the same thing. Their message is clear, concise. And so right now, we're all being exposed to that. And then another transit that I don't know if I talked about, and this is the one that I actually have the exact date for. So September 21st, Jupiter, which is squaring Neptune, actually will hit it exactly. So I want to say this dance that's going to happen with Jupiter and Neptune is like a 6 months, give or take, where they're going to dance in the sky and in a square formation. And squares add a little tension. And interestingly enough, these planets are both in their own signs, and they're also naturally square each other. Pisces is naturally square to Sagittarius. And part of this natural square is that they need to not agree, but work together. There needs to be a little conflict to keep both sides honest. But they have to work together because they're locked in this interaction, and so a lot of times, a lot of astrologers will make squares as a bad thing. From an evolutionary perspective, squares are really good transits. And here's the reason why. You cannot miss them. When there's tension, it's like you got two friends sitting on the couch getting along, wanting to watch the same show together. They're all locked in. Everything is good. The house may burn down because they're focused on their TV show and neither one of them is distracted and paying attention to something else, or whatnot. But when there's a square, it's like one's focused and one's like, yeah, okay, we can watch this, but I'm going to probably spend a little time making sure the house doesn't burn down, so to speak. And so it keeps us honest. And so Neptune Pisces is the possibilities, and Jupiter and Sagittarius is how we manifest them, how we interact with them. Jupiter's knowledge. Knowledge comes from the Piscean world. But if I just sit there and start speaking in, some kind of foreign language of Piscean world, excuse me, excuse me, no one's going to understand me. And that's kind of where Jupiter comes in, because Jupiter's like, oh, I take this kind of visionary thing, I assimilate it, I own it, which is important. I own it, and I speak it with confidence as it is true. And that's kind of what Jupiter and Sagittarius is about, because it's like if you go and you bring that Piscean world stuff in, and you're like, well, it might be this, or I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. People are like, what the hell are you talking about? Versus it's like, oh no, this is the way I see it. This is this is the way it works. Even though it's like, who the hell am I to say it works? But that Sagittarius energy is very much about owning your power, owning your wisdom. So it's in conflict with, it's in square with that Neptune. And so it's really asking you, where are you not stepping up? Where are you, stepping too much? Because Sagittarius can speak truth and own it as truth, even when they're completely delusionary. But they'll still, it's like those people on the corners that are, screaming about whatever they see in the sky. They believe it. They know it's true. But, the rest of us see us as delusionary, or are we, not owning it, not standing up and saying, you know what? I see it this way. That's Sagittarius. I see it this way. So these transits are happening. This tension's happening. It's going to be going on for a while. Excuse me. And so interestingly enough, one of the things I love about astrology is that when you really start to pay attention, you'll start to watch it. It makes sense. And part of what it makes sense, in the sense that the lessons stack on each other. It's like, so we've been going through this 6 months of Saturn, Pluto, South Node to kind of like break down this structure and really get us to look at it, so that we can then be prepared to bring in this visionary wisdom Piscean and speak it with the Sagittarius truth. And so part of what's happening, going back to the Brenda's original statement, as far as what's going on, it's like we're being broken down. Our structures are we are kind of being shaken. And it's like, does this really hold up to the shake test? It's like engineers can build beautiful things, but, Mother Nature can destroy them, and so the trick is, it's like, am I building a beautiful thing that'll stand the truth of time? Or am I just building some illusion that the minute the wind blows, it's going to blow over? And that's what this Pluto, Capricorn, South Node, Saturn transits been happening. It's like really asking us to look at that. And wrapping this up, so I guess the answer to your question, Brenda, is yeah, I do have a lot to say tonight. Because I could go on and on, but I'm noticing that I'm reaching my window of talking too long. So anyways, finishing up. So surprisingly today, I'm doing two things that I don't really very rarely do. And this is, the first one is come up with exact dates and focus on exact numbers, because I'm too busy looking at the big picture to see the exact. But the other ones is I very, very, very rarely, if not ever, use minor aspects. I pretty much stay with squares, oppositions, and conjunctions. For me, just because I could talk for days just with those. I add anything else, and then I need to schedule it like, oh, well, can you put away 4 days for me to give you a reading? It's like most people don't want to go that deep. So, but there's something happening right now in the sky, or at least on the 18th, or whatever that date was that I said earlier, August 30th, excuse me, on the new moon. So Uranus, which is the planet that brings in the new earth-shaking stuff. I talked a little bit about this being in Taurus. It has been in Aries for several years. It just recently moved into Taurus. It's kind of softening that energy, because Aries is that go ahead, just run in, make it happen. We'll pick the pieces up afterwards. That Mars energy. And Taurus, ruled by Venus, it's kind of more like, okay, so what if we think about some of the consequences first before we run in, and that's more of a Taurus practical. It's like, can I eat it? Is it going to hurt me? It's like, is it beautiful? Is it comfortable? Can I wear it? It's like, I'm not so sure I need it. If I can't eat it, if it's not beautiful, if it's not comfortable. It's kind of, so Uranus is sitting trining exactly the sun and the moon, and pretty exact to Mars in a retrograde thing on this new moon. It's actually interacting with all of them. And a trine is it's a transit that's very easy to miss. That's that transit of, oh, we're both watching this show we want to watch. We're all in agreement. We're all, working well together. There's no tension to keep us, making sure we don't miss something. So there's a lot of information here. There's a lot of power available with this Uranus kind of visionary, bringing in, shaking things up, kind of things that are all interacting with all these personal planets in Virgo, and it's important to, so to speak, not miss it. It's important to kind of really sit back and look at where it may be time for you to kind of initiate a new idea, a new plan. Start talking about something that you've been working on, or something that you're afraid to do. Finding the right people. Using that discernment, using that Taurus energy. Excuse me. So it's like, if you have something very new and very scary to bring out into the world, one of the easier ways to do that is to choose your audience very carefully. You have a friend that that'll handle it, that can give you some input, that can kind of help you incubate it in a softer, more gentler way. Help you bring it in a way that's not so disruptive. So, any questions so far, Brenda? Or I haven't even looked at any of the chats. We got a couple chats there.
We do. Somebody telling you bless you, and me looking up when Saturn is going direct, which is the next time that we meet on the full moon.
Oh, wow, that'll be good. That's going to be
We'll have some things to talk about.
That's an extremely powerful opportunity to initiate action. So all of this stuff that's been happening inward, it is ready to come forward, come out. It's like, take all that you've learned and utilize it. New structures, new long-term projects, Saturn, discipline over long periods of time to achieve greatness is what Saturn, Capricorn, that's what they want. So on that date that Brenda was so kindly to look up,
the 18th.
I'm not a real big, a lot of astrologers are really into this. And I don't know if I'm 100% believer, but in this particular case, I'm going to change it up slightly and say that that's an extremely good opportunity to take action, whether it's big or small. It might just be as simple as, Mom, you can't stop by without calling anymore. A personal boundary. It might be, wow, I'm gonna start writing my book. I'm gonna, start, doing that yoga class, or start working on my website, or whatever it may be. That's a great opportunity. And also expect for the energy to be super powerful, because it's like this internal energy, or looking inwards, is going to start to go forward, going out direct, kind of wanting to kind of start to take action. And so as it moves back forward, there's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of pressure, So it's like, if you're supposed to write a book, it's going to be a great time to write a book. It's going to also be a great time to beat yourself to living daylights because you haven't started your book, or feel like, oh my God, I just don't have anything in my life that has any meaning to me. It's like, oh God, poor Saturn is just beating me up. When in reality, Saturn's saying, hey, write the book, get the meaning, and get on with it. Now, not to say that writing a book, although I am getting ready to publish my poem book after finally, for several years. But it's not about writing a book. Writing a book is a good example of what it could be about, but it could be about anything. It could be just as simple as, putting down your foot with your children, or, all sorts of different things. But it's about sustained effort, boundaries, physical boundaries, and kind of putting the effort in to get where you want to go. That Saturn is your friend. All right, so I guess, yes, I did have a lot to say today.
Which everybody always loves, Ralph. So
Thank you.
of course. So now
it's my favorite time of the evening. All I got to say is yes, yes,
yes. So we're going to be doing some theta healing work. So that means changing beliefs, traumas, forgiveness around some of the things that Ralph has mentioned. And with theta healing, it works at a cellular level. No work can be done unless you verbally say yes out loud. And whenever I start with a new client or student or group, we always make sure that they have 3 basic beliefs in place, which are: I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible. So I see a few new names. So we just want to say yes out loud. I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible.
Yes.
Okay. And keep in mind that if you were not able to watch us live and are watching the recording, you still get the downloads. All you have to do is say yes out loud. So couple things. We want to remove, when we talk about free-floating memories, when we have traumas, we have free-floating memories that hang out with us. And so when we remove the free-floating memories, what that does is it neutralizes the trauma. And it allows us to be objective, get the lesson without having the pain, so to speak. So I do a lot of free-floating memory work, which is the trauma work. And so I want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from knowing and understanding what is useful. We also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from inherently knowing what is right. And also we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from knowing when what is right is wrong, right? So that prevents us from having that discernment. We also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from pausing and stepping back when it's for our highest and best good. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that we're obligated to be overwhelmed with all the energy. So if you'd like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes, yes, yes.
Let's also remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from having and maintaining a spiritual connection. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from having balance. We also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from being, from having, let's see, what's right. We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from being truth seekers. We also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that we're obligated to hold ourselves back. We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from looking within ourselves. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from integrating. So if you'd like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes, yes, yes.
We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from eliminating the structures that are no longer serving us. We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from having discernment in what serves us and what's not serving us. We want to remove the free-floating memories from we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from owning our power and wisdom. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from having a balance between when to step up and when to step on. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from creating a foundation or structure that can stand the truth of time. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from taking action and initiating a new plan, or from taking action. And we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevent us from being aware and utilizing the knowledge and power that are available to us for our highest and best good. So if you'd like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes, yes, yes.
Is there anything I could have forgotten there, Ralph?
Definitely not possible.
Anything's possible. Or anything that you want me to add, Ralph. How about that? Any suggestions, or are we good? Either is fine. I'm open to
Yeah, no, I'm feeling fairly complete, actually. I think you did an awesome job of kind of your part of the evening. So I'm all good.
All right. So we're done.
I believe so.
We're complete. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Feel free. We couldn't get on Facebook Live, so I'll definitely be in the group and on my page and on Ralph's page. We'll be sharing the link once we get this up, downloaded, uploaded. I don't know which one it is, to YouTube. And also anybody that you want to invite to join us, because of course we always love having people join us in the new moon as well as the full moon. So 2 weeks, the 18th, which is when Saturn will be going direct, we will have our full moon gathering. So let's see. Good night. Loving all the Virgo stuff.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that as I sit with that, it's going to be a big one. Be prepared. Bring the houses that Saturn goes direct in. It's going to be a very, very powerful full moon.
Okay.
And I will have something to say.
Oh, good. We were concerned, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Brenda.
Thanks.